Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for dropping by. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, I really appreciate you guys. So in this video, we're going to be talking about renting in Canada. Like, this topic, I have been meaning to do a video on this for the longest time, and today I just thought, why not, let's do this. If you're just seeing my face for the first time, my name is IJ. And if you've not already subscribed, thank you for dropping in. You can consider subscribing to this channel by clicking the red subscribe button down below so you can join the family. And without further ado, let's dive right into today's video. So you can use many platforms. There are a lot of platforms that you can actually use to find your own place. But there's Facebook Marketplace, I think that's very common here. There's also Castanet, there's Kijiji. Like, all of these platforms I've actually used myself when I was looking for a house. And I think I have mentioned in a couple of videos, but these are the places that you would most definitely find some really good places. And there's also the option of referral. Like, if you have somebody that does have a house, they can actually refer you, or just like somebody that knows a landlord, they can talk to somebody on your behalf, especially as a new immigrant, because you might not really be aware of certain things or how to go about looking for a house. Referral may actually go a long way. So if you do know somebody that can refer you, definitely don't sleep on that. Get in touch with whoever it is and make sure that you do get some referrals. It would help you go a long way, especially as somebody who just came into a new country. These things are very necessary. After you found a property, many people do prefer to go and see the property in person before they commit to anything, because a lot of time you might see a listing and it looks really nice, but I know many people can relate to this, but when you now go in person to see the house, it's not really what you thought it was going to be. So a lot of people, even if there's an opportunity to get the house before they see it, they would still prefer even that referral of a thing, like, you referred me, I'm happy, but I still want to use my eyes to see it before I pay. But in a way, that is like that's the norm. Like, even after finding a place and you message the person or the owner and you're like, okay, I am interested, there is still an opportunity to go and see the place in person. You need to come and view it. You can't just pay. So which makes it, it's a bit good like that, so that you know what you're getting yourself into. You can even decide if then or then you really want to pursue it, or you're no longer interested. So after you've decided that, okay, this is the property I want to go for, there are certain things that the landlord or the owners of the place or the property managers are expecting from you. The first thing is that they need a proof of income. This is very crucial in Canada. Like, you cannot even proceed further without showing them, okay, you have some kinds of means of making money. You need your pay stubs, you need your bank statements showing regular income, any means of showing that, okay, you have some payments, maybe an offer letter from employment, from your job, or maybe any means of making money that you have has to be shown to them, and then they will verify. They'll be the ones to tell you, okay, you can afford this place, or they'll be the ones to say, okay, you are good or not. So it depends on the means that you found the house. If it was through a referral or you personally know the landlord, maybe some of these things might not be as strict. But if you are going independently, no referral, definitely they will need your proof of income. There is no hearsay about it. They're going to request that of you, because definitely most times you need to fill out a rental application form, and on the form, all of this information I'm about to tell you now will be requested of you. Definitely they're going to ask you for your credit score. This is why it is necessary, it is important to have a good credit score in whatever you're doing. And if you have a bad credit score, it tells them already that you might be a liability to them, you might default on your rent and all of that, and definitely you might already be finding yourself a bit on the disadvantaged side if you have a bad credit score. So if you are looking for a house, or if you are new to the country, of course you may not have all of these things, and that is why it is important that you start looking from Facebook and start asking people that or friends assist you if they have anyone in mind, or they know anybody that can help you get a house. So the next thing that you're going to need is references. This can be your landlord, your previous landlord. It could be your co-workers, your employer. It doesn't necessarily have to be anybody in particular, but you do need to provide some references. Okay, these are the people that can that have been with me, they know me, and they can vouch for me. So the next thing that you're going to be needing before they give you the house is your security deposit. I think this thing in Nigeria, it is called caution fee. Like, you may be paying like maybe 1 million naira as your rent, depending in Nigeria. But your caution fee could be like 100k. It doesn't have a standard amount, but here, last I've heard of, your security deposit is at least half of your rent, usually at least half, or even 1 month's rent. I've heard of 1 month's rent, but here it is half. So if you are paying $2,000 as your monthly rent, because rent here is monthly, you will need to give them a security deposit of about $1,000. This is just in case you destroy anything on the property, or there is any reason why the property is damaged. That security deposit is just like saying, in case I damage anything, this is the money that will be used to fix it. And if you are leaving the property and there is some kind of damage, okay, they're not actually going to give you back your security deposit. So you, as the person that is looking to rent, there are certain things that you also need to consider before you choose a property. And the first thing is the cost. You need to check the cost, okay? You definitely don't want to be, I'm struggling to pay your rent every month. Whatever that it is that you are paying your rent, you should be able to comfortably pay it, because rent is every month here. So at the end of the day, time flies. Before you know it, it's already a month and it's time to pay your rent. You don't want to be defaulting on your payments or paying a bit late. You will definitely have issues with the landlord or the managers of the house. So whatever you're paying should be something that you should be able to comfortably pay. And as a new immigrant, as somebody that just came into the country, you might want to start small, get a smaller, cheaper place, just so that, whatever it is, you can pay it comfortably and you can also meet all of your other expenses. I think you should not actually have a rent that is more than 30% of your monthly income. Next thing to consider when you are looking for a house is actually the proximity and location. This is one place that I feel a lot of people, they make a mistake, because you might be thinking that it is not very far, you just enter one bus. Canada is actually very, very vast. The land is a lot, and the distance is not the same thing you're used to. Anywhere you find a house, you either have to, navigate the place. If it is very, very far, you're going to spend a lot on your transportation. You don't want to be staying in a place where you have to take Uber on every single day you want to go and buy groceries, or getting to work, you need to leave 2 hours earlier. Trust me guys, I am talking from experience. Anywhere you're checking or you want to rent, definitely make sure that it is somewhere that it is close to grocery stores, it is close to the center of town if possible, and if you can afford it. Of course, that places that are close to bus routes and close to everywhere, usually they're a bit on the high side. So it's something that you have to sort of like decide, how close is this place, is it worth it, how cheap is the rent, is it affordable. Why, even though that you want to stay close to town and stay close to the middle of town and everything, you also need to consider the cost. So the next thing you might need to consider, this one may or may not be important to you, but if you have kids or you're planning to start a family in that location, you might need to consider the neighborhood, just because certain times there may be a community of people, because Canada is very diverse. There might be a community of people that settle in a particular area, and it doesn't have to mean anything. If you don't mind, definitely it's not be an issue. But if you have a particular place that you want to live in, or you want to have a community of people that you relate to, or personally, maybe you might want to just look into the area you are moving to, or you're considering moving to, and just decide, do some research and find out exactly maybe the people that are predominantly there, and maybe decide if you want to go or not. So another major thing that you need to consider before you move into any location, any environment, is safety. While Canada is generally a very safe place to live in, you need to also consider the neighborhood in particular. Generally, if it is not very safe, or you feel that maybe you have kids or something and you're concerned about them, these are things that you also need to keep in mind. The next thing that I think you need to definitely keep in mind, because it is so important, is your lease agreement. Whenever you're about to sign a lease is particularly usually a 1-year lease, after which the landlord decides if they want to continue with you or not. a lot of things can be contained in the lease agreements, so you need to make sure that you are reading everything so you don't sign away your rights and your privacy as well, because there are certain leases that may contain things you may not agree with and you need to know of them. So pay attention to lease penalties for breaking it, like when you want to break the lease after living there for maybe less than a year, 6 months, and you discover that it is too far from everything and you now suddenly want to leave. You need to know what would happen in such a situation, and certain leases might have clauses about no pets, because a lot of places here they don't actually want you to have a pet. So if you decide to suddenly buy a dog in the middle of your lease, there will definitely be some consequences which you need to be very aware of. There are certain leases that have strict rules against animals of any kind. So the next thing I feel that you might want to consider is your relationship with your landlord. Like is your landlord going to be living close to you? Are you going to be sharing some space with your landlord? Will you be sharing some fence or boundary? Of course, you don't want to be in a situation where it's not the end of the world, of course, but your landlord is always in your business because he lives so close by. Of course, landlord will want to keep an eye on their investments. You cannot blame them, but you as a tenant, it might be a bit uncomfortable for you. Perhaps if anything happens to the house and you tell the landlord, he can just walk in at any time because he lives so close. Like, you need to consider some of these things, because you don't want to be in that situation where you are living in the house but your landlord is almost breathing down your neck. While it is not very serious, this one I'm just saying from experience, you definitely want to make sure that you decide if you want to stay very close to your landlord or not. So after you've gotten all these things and you've moved into the place and all of that, when you now want to move out, because by God's grace you'll be moving out eventually, you will not be a tenant forever, perhaps you're buying your own place and you need to leave, there are also certain things that you need to keep in mind if you are going to get back your security deposit. And the first thing is that if there is any damage to the property, you destroyed anything, or you broke a certain part of the wall, because the walls here are usually made of wood. Okay, so maybe you scratched the wall or you caved in a particular section, whatever it is, try as much as possible to fix these things before you leave the place. If there's any part of the house that you stained, clean it as best as you can. Like, you might even want to consider getting professional cleaners just so that they can do their best in cleaning the property. Responsibility falls on you, the current tenants, to clean up the place thoroughly before you leave. And there will definitely be an inspection process just to see that the house is still in good condition, because if it is not, you might not be able to get back your security deposit. Remember that half rent or full rent that you paid at the beginning, you might not get it back, and it can be a significant amount of money, of course. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Have you ever experienced any of this? How was finding a house for you in Canada or any place that you found yourself in the West? Like, how was it for you? Let me know how it went. I would love to hear your comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye for now.